Oh, okay. I do apologize there. Let me start again because I just realized my mic was muted. That's embarrassing. I do apologize. Hi, I go by name of Hines, your friendly neighborhood ketchup man, and welcome to the Ketchup Court preview show. This is where we get to preview the trials that really do matter based on the record, and given kind of an idea of what we could expect going into the next court day. So we are currently covering the Kouri Richins trial. It's in Utah, and I found out yesterday that Utah follows Mountain Time, not Eastern Time. So I was upset. But nonetheless, Kouri Richins, she is a grief author. She wrote a book after her husband had died, and pretty much basically posturing as someone that is going through a lot of grieving after the husband had died. And then it turned out that she got charged for with murder, and that was basically it. She was charged with murder alongside other charges, including, I believe it was insurance fraud. I will go over the charges at the end because I literally just escaped my mind. So, but nonetheless, we're going to be focusing on day one and what the key facts are, so that we can give an idea of what day two is going to be like. So, about me, like I said, I am Hines, and I view trials as a system that can reveal a lot about human nature. Shout out to you, Priya Brown Girl. Welcome to the stream. I go by Ketchup as well, Ketchup Man or Hines, whichever one you prefer. You can call me whichever one. But yeah, welcome to the stream. So, I see trials as human nature, and something that needs to be looked at very, very closely, and that's basically what I do. So I document moments as I go on. So one day I do hope to be a trial lawyer. So I am kind of preparing my mind mentally for that change should that day come. So day one of the Kouri Richins trial was very chaotic. We got to hear a lot of testimonies, well, 4 testimonies in total, and this is why we're here for the stream. We gotta order that chaos. So what basically began, it was very emotional for the jury immediately, and then it transitioned to it being very mechanical when the deputy Nguyen, it's very hard to pronounce, admittedly, but Detective Nguyen went on to the stand and testified about what the premises looked like when he got to the scene, what he was doing, as well as played his body cam. So to understand all of that, we have to go back to the very beginning when the opening statements were given, and I am going to be focusing first and foremost on the state, and then I'm going to move over to the defense and how their evidence and how their opening statement is going to shape, in my eyes anyway, might shape this trial. So starting with the state, and this is something that I thought was quite interesting to see from the onset. Let me put on my headphones and pretty much go straight into the opening statements by the state, because what essentially happened with the state was basically they went I found that this moment from the opening statement, I'm not going to play all of it, of course. I'm just trying to preview what was happening, but I found this moment particularly very interesting for a number of reasons, because I saw the image that he was trying to frame Kouri Richins as, and framing, I think framing can, I know opening statements are not facts, but how you frame the trial can really, I think, really hold the jury's attention, because there are just some things that you just can't ignore should it actually happen the way that they said. So whatever they have loaded in their statements, I feel like it's going to play a huge role in convincing the jury of what their theory is, that they have met their burden, because they kind of need to do that to basically go and actually convince them that this is beyond a reasonable doubt. So the opening statements, if handled properly, can do that. But just to be clear, I don't believe it determines a trial, but I think it can be very, very useful. From what I've seen, I think current retrial is the best example for that. I don't think it. I still think that it would have gone over the line, but the way that, I still think he would have gone over the line. But I'm talking about in terms of Hank Brennan, and people are gonna hate me for this opinion, but I'll talk about it another time. But I think Hank Brennan opening statement took him as far as it did, and I think there were structural mistakes that happened during the trial that derailed his case. But back to this one, I was just trying to give a contrast. I believe what the state did here with Bradley Bloodworth was extremely clever, and it was when he was introducing the motive that Kouri had to carry out this particular poisoning, where Eric Richins was poisoned. So let's go and listen to what he had to say in regards to this.
Kouri Richins owned a house flipping business. She would purchase, rehab, and resell homes. She presented herself to friends and business associates as remarkably successful. The evidence will prove that on the day that Eric died, Kouri Richins owed over $4.5 million to over 20 different lenders. And she did not have the ability to service that debt because her bank accounts were exhausted and her credit was exhausted. She had been taking out new loans to include payday loans to service existing loans, but her new credit was drying up. In the 5 months leading to Eric Richins' death, Kouri Richins overdrafted over 200 transactions, totaling over $300,000.
I just want to highlight something that I was saying. So first, it began with what she does, basically flipping homes, etc. This, in my opinion, I thought that this gave the impression that she is used to a life of volatility, if that makes sense, a life of volatility, where nothing is pretty much guaranteed, that she has to keep doing this lifestyle to basically make ends meet. So it starts with that. People know what flipping homes means. People knows that they pretty much have an idea. And then bang, the debts. Hello, Why Killed You TV. Welcome. I appreciate you for joining. Thanks. Thanks. I guess I do know some things. Thank you for that. But this is what he's building up to.
And on the day that Eric died, Kouri Richins was scheduled to close on an unfinished and derelict mansion in Midway, and thus take on an additional $3.2 million in debt. She did not have the financial ability to service that debt, to rehab the mansion, or to hold on to it long enough to resell it. The mansion may appear impressive from a distance, but upon close inspection, it is just a facade. On the other hand, on the day that Eric died, his estate was worth over $4 million.
Now, if you are mechanical in the jury, if you're someone like me, because the minute that he said 4 million, my brain went logical. I thought 4 million. She has 6 million in total. she had accrued this debt. Why on earth is 4 million going to actually make an impact on her? And at that moment, I had to sit back and think about it. And after the day was over, after I heard all the testimonies, it hit me why this moment is important.
And the evidence will prove that Kouri Richins believed she would inherit it all. She believed that she would inherit Eric's $2 million interest in a stonemasonry business, an interest that a prenuptial agreement prevented her from getting any part of if they divorced, but permitted her to get all of if Eric died while they were married. She believed that she would inherit the $1 million or so dollar home that they lived in, but that Eric owned separate and apart from her. And she believed that she would benefit from nearly $2 million in insurance on Eric's life, to include the $100,000 policy that she took out a few weeks before he died. Now, for Kouri Richins' fresh start at life motive. This motive overlaps with her money motive. She needed Eric Richins' money to get her fresh start at life. The evidence will prove that Kouri Richins was chronically unhappy in her marriage. She thought that having children would make her happier, but it did not. She consulted with a divorce attorney in the months leading up to Eric's death. 3 months before Eric's death, Kouri Richins booked a $4,000, 5-night, all-inclusive vacation for her and her boyfriend, Robert Josh Grossman, at the Secrets St. Martin's Resort and Spa in the Caribbean. They were to check in the month after Eric died. Three weeks before Eric's death, 15 days before Eric's death, 1 day before the charge, attempted murder, Kouri Richins text messaged Josh Grossman, "If I was divorced right now and asked you to marry me tomorrow, you would? I just want to lay on the couch and cuddle you. Watch a murder documentary and snuggle."
The reason why everything that I just said compounds on this moment. Well, can I say compound? Whatever word fits that moment. This introduction of the cheating, plus the gambling nature, plus also gambling nature in the sense of having the mind that I will make something if I put this here. It stands to reason. I don't know how to put it. You can go on one side, right, and say that the reason why he had essentially gone and presented how much she stood to make, how much she owed, etc., was for this moment, because she didn't. For one, I think we might hear testimony in regards to who and the financial status of Josh, because everything that was going on here, in my opinion, signals that she really believed that had she gotten this amount, she can put more into the properties, and once they hit big, they will hit big. I don't know how the real estate market works, but she does. So she may have rationalized herself to believing that. And if she needed, let's just say, and this is how the jury might view it, if she needed maybe 50 grand or a million to take out a loan to do it, and then she saw that she can earn maybe up to 2 million from the life insurance. That gives her unlimited chances to try at this. So maybe that's how she would see it. So when that opening statement was done, and then we got to Clint Benson, who was the brother-in-law, this really stuck out to me because it kind of drove home everything that we heard on the opening statements. Let me play it. I have seen your message via QTV. I'll definitely get in contact. I'll put my email, or I'll give you. I'll put my email in the chat.
Did you do something to assist with the situation?
I did. Yeah,
What did you do?
I knew he was on his way over to our home after overhearing the conversation with Katie. In the amount of time it took him to get from where he was to our house, I was able to pull up the Summit County website, the recorder's website, where I could pull up the property address as well as the parcel ID and be able to view all of the recorded documents against the home.
I see. And when you looked at that, did you find something that concerned you about the 282 Willow Court?
I did.
And what was that?
I found a $250,000 home equity line of credit that was taken out against Eric's house.
Did you pass that information on to Eric?
Yes.
So what he has just testified to is that a line of credit was taken out under Eric's name.
That conversation, that passing of that information, can you relate to us Eric's demeanor from that point?
Yeah, his demeanor was still very upset and very sad in general. So,
Do you know what he did following that?
what he did following that, so we had a discussion about divorce attorneys while he was there
Okay.
as a result of finding out about that line of credit.
So, how did you suggest a name?
I did.
Okay. Was that on request, or were you encouraging?
It was on request, and so I mean, obviously Eric was extremely upset about what was happening, and it was just that conversation we were having where it was the next step would be to get a divorce attorney involved.
And so, did you suggest a name?
I did.
Who was that?
Christina Miller.
Did you work out a system of communication between Christina Miller and Eric?
I did.
And what was that? Could you just describe it?
So I was an intermediary, so I would handle phone calls as well as emails back and forth. So they had requested certain amounts of information from Eric, and I would handle that passage of information.
All right. So what has been testified to here is the fact that Eric had discovered this line of credit. He was upset about it, and then on top of that, he had gone on to go to the level of getting a divorce attorney. So this, of course, does line up with what the state has said, and it kind of, and on top of this, I didn't go into testimony because from the wife of Clint Benson, who is Kouri Richins Benson, but she testified that Kouri had basically admitted that she had purchased a mansion, she had basically gained ownership of it. So all of this is just oral testimony. We haven't seen anything yet to corroborate all of it, which points me back to the defense. I'm gonna focus on them now. It points me back to the defense, and I'm gonna and their opening statements was interesting in a way, because they are not, from what I've seen anyway, they are not necessarily, let me just make sure I transition. They're not necessarily going to make the argument that in regards to the relationship status of Kouri and Eric. I think what they did was kind of frame it was framed a relationship as a happy relationship, which is a massive contrast to what we got to hear from the state, who was saying that, and now with the evidence presented, you have to kind of wonder, why would the state actually, not the state, why would the defense with Catherine Nestor actually tell the jury in their opening, hey, they had a happy marriage? And then you have these in-laws and the family members coming in and giving it such a contrast, such a contrary testimony, which seems to be tilting towards the state. So this moment that when I was looking over my notes again, this particular moment stuck out to me from the opening statements, and this was when Catherine Nestor was giving her theory, and an alternative theory about how Eric died. And I thought that this was a strong premise to begin with for her, but I didn't notice the effect he would have in terms of, with this theory in mind, and then you got to hear the family, you would have to wonder then at the same time, when did Eric actually die? Because that's let me actually play it, because I'm getting ahead of myself, and then I will bring it and then I will provide my thoughts.
You're also going to hear, slide 10, that there was an empty pill bottle right next to him in his nightstand. And I want you to pay careful attention to this. The empty pill bottle expired in 2016. Made out to him for pain pills.
This is so key, because I want to highlight this, because that expiry date of 2016, you have to question why is it there, first and foremost. And secondly, I remember from the pre-trial hearings, we went through that on the pledge, which is where we kind of set the scene, right, for what the trial might look like, going through the pre-trial documents. So when I went through the pre-trial documents on the pledge stream, I made a reference. I didn't play the video, but I made a reference in regards to the old attorney, Kouri Richins' former attorney, Sky Lazaro, making the point that that they could have been. That it was an inference, not really much of an overt point. It was an inference that someone from the family did not like Eric and did not like the relationship that Eric and Kouri had. And he said something, it was something along the lines of having the last word. So right now, when I look back on my notes and I went through this part, I realized, oh, this is a third party culprit.
That's going to become important later. Sometime after 3 a.m., Kouri wakes up and comes back into a dark bedroom. You're going to hear she unlocked her phone. Probably, we're not going to dispute the times that the state just mentioned. The phone gets unlocked shortly after 3 a.m., which is what time Kouri says from day one that she got up. She always tells the police, I got up at 3. The phone verifies that. The phone moved around the house a little bit. You're going to hear the distances in the house. There's going to be investigators that are going to tell you how many feet from the master bedroom to the bathroom to the kitchen. They're going to tell you about how many feet are in that house if you're walking around the house. It appears clear she walked around the house just a little bit for a few minutes. And then the phone stops being active, which is indicative of being back in the charger, indicative of not moving anymore. And a few minutes later, you hear the 911 call that you guys just heard. So that gives her enough time to crawl into the bed, touch her husband, and realize he's cold. Just about 3 minutes, that's all it took. And she picks her phone up, calls 911. You're gonna see that the phone records prove all of this.
This is the part.
At that time, I believe everyone's gonna agree, and I think the state even admitted it in their opening, that's pretty clear he'd been dead for several hours. And you're gonna actually see a photo when we pass, our blood pools in the position that we lay in. It's not circulating anymore because our heart's not working. And you're gonna see a picture of his back. And you're gonna see that the blood he had been dead long enough for the blood to pool on his back because he was laying on his back. So that usually indicates he'd been dead for several hours, and the medical examiner is going to tell you that. So those 6 hours, ladies and gentlemen, between 9 p.m. and 3 a.m., somewhere in that time, Eric Richins died. Somewhere in that time, he ingested a fatal dose of fentanyl. What you will never hear after 4 years of investigation, where as recently as 2 weeks ago, they were back searching that house. After 4 years of investigation and 5 weeks of this trial, you know what you're never going to hear is how that fentanyl got inside of him, because there is zero evidence of that. To this day, slide 11, please. You're going to see that his death certificate, that's the wrong thing, Katie. Just take it down. Sorry about that. That's the wrong thing. His death certificate reads that the manner of his death is still unknown to this day. You're going to hear testimony that a medical examiner has the ability to declare the manner of someone's death. It can be homicide, it can be suicide, it can be accidental overdose, it can be murder, it can be anything. To this day, the medical examiner, the professional that's the head of declaring how people die in the state of Utah, has never been able to determine the manner of Eric Richins' death.
Okay, so I went through that, and this is something that I might have to revise. I might have to go back and listen to, because there was a point that that she noted in regards to Eric Richins always looking through Kouri's phone, and what I interpreted of that was that there was still a possibility that Eric was alive at some point because of device access at irregular times that Kouri wouldn't have accessed it. So I didn't hear it here. I don't know if I just made that up in my head when I was listening. I don't know what happened, but it's something that I'm going to have to go back and review. But the main point I wanted to get from that is that 6 hour gap, because she framed it as the pills being on the table, and then goes on to basically highlight the gap and the possibility that within that time, she the pill is here from 2016. I don't know the significance of it, but she has left it as a teaser. Then on top of that, Eric goes on to die. So you can get the idea that if Eric probably got that hold of that pill box and basically took something from that would stand to reason that that's how the fentanyl got into the system, not as how the state is alleging happened, which is through Kouri Richins putting it into his Moscow Mule. I think that was what it's called, Moscow Mule. Moscow Mule drink. But yeah, so that's, and when they went through this, of course they can't defend against this just yet. They can't bring out that theory until they get into, I believe they're gonna explore that theory around the medical professionals. I think they are also going to maybe explore around the detectives that were on the scene. We kind of already got the preview already, and if you've watched the trial, you know that this has already annoyed me. If you were watching the trial monitoring stream with me, you know how annoying this is. I found Alex Ramos on his cross-examination of the detective Nguyen, but I will admit Alex Ramos did do a good job in getting him to admit that there was no investigation done with the cops. That was supposed to be this linchpin, this thing that was used to poison Eric. So they didn't even scan the cups or do anything like that. On top of that, they didn't find drug paraphernalia at the home, and also they didn't find any THC gummies at the home. But this is something that we have already heard from even the family members, like, you know, Katie Richins, his sister, had testified that he had THC gummies for his back pain. So it's kind of weird that that's not at the house, and that is something that he would ingest. But that is what I'm expecting to happen on day 2. I think on day 2 we are going to have a situation in which, well, for one, it's going to be very mechanical. It's going to be very procedural, like really one of those slow burning days that you know, a lot of technical facts that are going to determine this case and anchor this case is going to come through. I know that there's a lot of data in regards to messages and emails and communication, so I don't know if they're going to sandwich that in between day 2 as well, but we shall see. But yeah, so that's pretty much. Before I do, there is something I like to do on the stream that I didn't do, but I'm gonna try something new today. I didn't do it at the start. I'm gonna try something new, and it is showing a clip, a little snippet of that characterizes this whole entire day. Yeah, so this is why this is a clip from the movie The Social Network that I think captures this day and captures perfectly how the defense attacked or approached this game.
You don't think I deserve your attention?
I think if your clients want to sit on my shoulders and call themselves tall, they have a right to give it a try, but there's no requirement that I enjoy sitting here listening to people lie.
That's how I think the defense are approaching this game. They are sitting back waiting for the state to put all their cards on the table, and they're like, it's all lies. Let me show you this. At the same time, you can argue that that's the state. You know, Mark Zuckerberg, who was played by I forgot his name. Is it Jesse Heisenberg? Anyway, Mark Zuckerberg, you can argue that him making that comment about I'm not gonna sit here and, you know, watch people lie, is basically the state going straight in with the motive right there and there. You can argue that as well. So I found that clip really sums up the day beautifully. Sweet P, love you so much. Welcome to the stream. Taking a trial. I know that she's covering this case. Go and check it out. She is doing a live stream on our channel. I am also monitoring this case with my members on the Heinz Condiment Island. So if you do wanna join us and monitor this case with us, you know, I'll be doing a live analysis there as the case go on. Yeah, hey, feel free to join. And yeah, otherwise, I hope that I have given you enough information to go into day 2 with, wherever you are going to watch the stream at. Definitely, yeah, like hopefully this is enough to go on. But yeah, I just want to say thanks to everyone that have tuned in. Pretty Brown Girl just basically said, I think defense is gonna give us a little show. We saw a little bit of it yesterday at the end of the testimony. Of course, if I personally, I hope Alex Ramos doesn't do anything anymore, because he's really annoying me. He's really coming across as inauthentic, as theatrical, and I don't think that might land well with the jury, even if he makes some great points. I think he has to reel it in, and I wouldn't be surprised if Catherine Nestor is having a few words with him. I just wouldn't be surprised, because I believe he was way over the top yesterday. I just really think that he was way over the top yesterday. But that's just me. Maybe that's part of their plan. Like, hey, let him do what he does best, and then we will kind of be the balancing act. I don't know how trial prep actually happens or how they decide their strategies, but anyway, I don't want to keep you guys. We are way over the time. This is supposed to be 30 minutes and it's now 5 minutes over. I am getting better. Yesterday was 38 minutes, so hopefully we'll trim it down to 30 minutes. But yeah, we'll be back tomorrow for the day 3 preview, should court be on. Keep an eye out on the Ketchup Court post. That's where I communicate with all you guys. So without further, thank you so much everyone for tuning in. I'll see you guys at the trial monitoring stream, wherever you are watching the trial. Hopefully you guys enjoy yourself, and hopefully you guys enjoy the trial. Have a great day. Bye for now. Thank you everyone for tuning in for another Catch Up Court live stream. Make sure that you smash that like button as well as hitting that subscribe button to be notified of our future live streams. We go live regularly, bringing you case updates and recaps of ongoing trials, so make sure you hurry back on the next live stream. We also have more content on the channel that you can binge on. Check out the playlist that we have showcasing all of these contents. Without further, I go by the name of Heinz, your friendly neighborhood catch